Hello Year 5s and welcome to your geography lesson. We're going to be looking at latitude and longitude to describe position, okay? And so how we can find locations easily on a map. So we're going to be using grid references today. So make sure that you have everything you need, your pens or pencil and your paper ready for this lesson. Okay, so here's your just checking. I'd like you to pause your video now and answer these 4 questions about what we have been learning about in geography so far. Great, so let's see how you've done. Right, how many islands make up Japan? Hopefully you remember there were 4 islands that make up Japan from last week. Last unit, name the largest river in the world. We looked at South America, and in South America we have the Amazon River, which is the largest river. Remember, the longest river is the River Nile, which goes through Egypt, and the Amazon is found in South America. The ocean that lies to the east of South America is the Atlantic Ocean, and our 7 continents of our world is Africa, Asia, Europe, South America, North America, Antarctica, and Australia. Okay, so hopefully you've done really well with your just checking, and hopefully you can retain this information for future. So our big question for today is, how can we find locations easily on a map? All right, so we're going to have a quick recap from last week, just to remind ourselves about Japan, and then we're going to be using our knowledge to investigate different positions and locations on a map. So, can you find the UK quickly for me? And can you find Japan? And can you remind yourself about what continent Japan belongs to? Okay, and so hopefully you have pointed or identified that this is the UK on the map here, this island. And Japan is all the way to the far east, and that's why it's also referred to as the Far East. And it is part of Asia, the continent Asia. So there were 4 islands we learned about, and you had to put them on a map for me from last week. So I would love you to tell me, can you remember where these 4 islands go? Okay, so can you remember where these answers are? And then, can you also, as a bonus, can you tell me if you remember what the capital city of Japan is called? And so you can pause the video and have a go at quickly writing down those answers, and then we can have a look at them together. Right, so we'll start with the capital city. Hopefully you remember the capital city is Tokyo. Okay, and that our 4 islands are Honshu, which is in the main one over here, Shikoku, which is the one down here. We get Hokkaido, which is the one right at the top, and Kyushu, which is right at the bottom. And the way I tried to remember it is HDHSK. HD, okay, for Hokkaido, because it has the D there, so that's the first one, Hokkaido. Then we have Honshu, which is this H here. Then we have Shikoku, which is the next one, and then the last one, Kyushu. And I hope I'm pronouncing those correctly, or I'm doing my best at least. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to be looking at grid references today. So we're going to be using what we call a grid, which is when we divide an area into 2 little squares, all right? And we then create numbers on the side to pinpoint those grids quite specifically. So if we have a look at those 4 questions together, then let's see what we can find. So what can we find in grid reference 5.5? Now it's very important that you listen to this instruction, because this is going to help you for the rest of your lesson, especially in your activities today. So when we're looking at grids, you will see that it's got numbers on the side and numbers at the bottom. So down the side here and the bottom. Now this 1 refers to these blocks going up here. This 2 will be referring to these blocks going up here. So although the number is on the line, you need to remember that that number is actually referring to this whole block in front of it. The same with the ones going up on the side. This number 1 will refer to all the blocks going along the side here. This number 2 will be the number in the, imagine it being in the middle almost, okay? So when we're looking at grid reference 5.5, we're going to go find the one 5 over here, and we're going to look, so we start with the bottom number and we go to the top and we say 5 is there, and I find a castle. So pause the video, see if you can do questions 2, 3, and 4 on your own quickly, and then we will go through the answers together. Great, let's have a look. What can be found in grid reference 1, 4? So we go to the bottom number first, 1, and we count 4, and it is the duck or a bird. Draw a smiley face in grid reference 5, 3. So I'm going to go find 5, and I'm going to count the 3, 1, 2, 3, and where the 2 of them meet, so here is 5, here is 3, I'm going to draw a smiley face. And draw a sad face in 4, 7. So I'm going to go find 4. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. And I'm going to count 7. I'm going to go find my 7, which is all the way at the top there. Remember, this 7 belongs to this whole row in the middle. So imagine putting that 7 in the middle, and that's the whole row. And I'm going to put my sad little face there. Okay? So hopefully you've done that. Now, just to let you know that we always start with the horizontal numbers first. We put these numbers down first. So here's your vocabulary that you're going to be seeing today. Talking about a grid reference is the numbers on the side. When we have a grid, which we've just done, we get what we call a compass rose, which is when we talk about direction, okay? When we talk about direction using our cardinal points. So like a compass, which is an instrument that is used to find direction, all right? A compass rose would be the same. It's just that diagram showing north, east, south, and west. Okay, north, east, south, and west. And how I remember it is I've made up a little funny saying, naughty elephants squirt water. So I know which of those positions go where. Longitude refers to the lines going down, and latitude refers to the lines going across. I always think about the word long, as in it's like a long piece of string or a long ladder. The equator is the line that divides the world into its 2 hemispheres, northern and southern. Coordinates are going to be the numbers that are on the side of our grid reference, which gives us our position. And our key or legend is symbols that are on a map, and the key would then tell me what that symbol represents. So we're going to come to that a little bit later. Right, so how are grids helpful in our daily life, okay? So obviously when we're looking at grids like this one, all right, it's nice to have them so that we can figure out places to go. So if I'm wanting to go to a certain place, I can look at the grid and I can say, right, I want to get to the superstore and I need to go into grid reference 32, 44, and there it would be, okay? So I can find it easily if they gave me the coordinates, which is 32 and 44. And then I would look at those two and I wouldn't have to scan anywhere else. I would look at that block and I would find it quite specifically. There it is. So where do we find grid references? We often find them in maps, okay, when we're looking up for maps. And so when we are having to also understand a certain place, okay, so it's all to do with location. So your map is crisscrossed with lots of horizontal and vertical lines. So horizontal are the lines that go across, and vertical, the lines going down, okay? And this creates lots of squares, which we call a grid. We use this grid to help to narrow the area of search, making it easier to find features on a map. So did you know that in Ordnance Survey map, each square represents the same size, which is 1 square kilometer, okay, which is 1 kilometer squared. So that's basically, this is not the amount of space. If I had to go to this map, I would not have this tiny little space. It's not a true representation of the size, okay? We say that these are what we call 1 square kilometers, 1 kilometer squared in size, okay? So it's a really big area, and we've scaled it down and made it smaller. So let's have a look at some of the information that we have understood about Japan, okay? So which part of Japan do you think would be warmer? Do you think the north would be warmer or the south, okay? And think about what lies near it, okay? What line of latitude do we have that would tell us how hot or cold a place is? So have a little think about that. Right, and hopefully you were thinking about the equator, okay? So the equator is the line that divides the world, and here I've roughly drawn it in, into northern and southern hemisphere, and the countries that lie on the equator will be very, very warm. Okay, so here you will notice that the equator, the places that are quite near to Japan, which is over here, so in the south, will more than likely be warmer than the areas to the north of it, okay? Because obviously they are going to be closer to the equator, which is where it is warmer. And the further north you get, the colder it gets, okay? So the UK is quite far from the equator, and that's why we get quite cold weather. So it says the northern part of Japan, which is further away from the equator, will be colder than the part of Japan in the south. Because of the mountains and cold weather, northern Japan is a popular skiing destination. Lots of people go and ski there because there are lots of mountains to ski down, and obviously snow is quite frequent because it's a lot further to the north. The equator is the imaginary line around the Earth, and the purpose of having this imaginary line is to create our northern and southern hemispheres, and it also tells us our seasons, okay? Remember, we have opposite seasons to the north and the south. So it splits our planet into our northern and southern hemisphere, as I spoke about. And these horizontal lines, now if you look really closely, you will see these faint blue lines, okay? Those are our lines of latitude, and our equator is one of those lines as well. And they tell us how many degrees north or south they are. So you'll see here that you'll have degrees on the side. Right, the equator is our 0-degree line of latitude, which is over here, the red line. And if we start measuring latitude from going north or south, okay? So we go north or we go south. The vertical line measures the line, is called the lines of longitude, which are these long lines going down. So you can see it's also the faint blue lines and this green line. And they are also labeled in degrees, how far east, which is this direction, or how far west we go. And there is a compass rose for us over there. And these are called meridian lines. And unlike the equator, there isn't an obvious place to split the planet into east and west. But in 1884, it was decided that the prime meridian line would be in Greenwich, London. And some of you might have gone to Greenwich and seen there is actually a little sign there to show you that that is the line, this green line here, and you can see it runs through London. London's over there, okay? And you can go and stand there, all right? There is a sculpture to mark the 0-degree longitude line and the prime meridian line in Greenwich, and there's the sculpture there. Okay, so some of you might have seen it if you've been to London, Greenwich, and if you haven't, perhaps one day you'd like to go and visit. And although it's not, as I said, it wasn't an obvious place to split, but this was the place that they decided in 1884. Okay, so there's our 0-degree line of longitude, and this divides it into our east and our west. Right, latitude and longitude coordinates allow us to give accurate locations of places on a planet, okay, of our planet, by recording how far north or south or east or west they are using those imaginary lines. The latitudinal coordinates always goes first, so we always talk about north or south first, and then we talk about the east or west, okay? So for example, the city of Manila's coordinates are approximately 15 degrees north and 120 degrees east. So if we have a look here, there is Manila, and I would say there you can see it's 15 degrees, okay? All right, so we talk about 15 degrees north because it's now in the northern hemisphere. Here is the equator line. Here is the northern hemisphere. So we are 15 degrees north. And in what quadrant are we in? We are in the east quadrant. So we would say it's about 120 degrees east. Okay, that's how we can figure it out. To help you remember which way the lines go, think of a ladder. The longitude lines are the long lines that go down, which means the horizontal lines are our lines of latitude. So when we are looking at grid references, the reason why we are creating such a small area is if you had to say to your friends, right, we're going to go visit London, okay, and they give you this map, and they say, we'll meet you there. Now these are loads and loads and loads of streets, and I would know where to start, okay? So you would be very, very confused, and you would not know where you are going. But if your friend told you more specifically where you are going and they added in some grid lines for you, you would then be able to know where to go. So if you are meeting your friends at 6522, you could then go and have a look. Here is the grid 65 and here is a 22, and when you match them up, you'd be meeting them somewhere around here. But this is also still quite a lot of information. Now we call this, what we've just given you, a 4-grid reference because there are 4 digits. But I could make this even more accurate and I can give 6 grid references. Those of you who really want to challenge yourself today, this is actually super easy. This is what we call a 6 grid reference. So you've given the one block, the horizontal line, 65. And now what you're going to do is imaginarily divide these up into equal parts of 10, okay? Counting up as if you've gone and cut them to 10. And then you're going to say 2 would be round about, if I had to, if that was 5, then 2 would roughly probably be about here, okay? And I'd do the same with the line of longitude. So I'd look here and I'd say, right, this would be our 22, and I would round about 4 would be here because I'm dividing this block now into 10 parts. And where the 2 of them meet would be where I'm going to meet you. So I'm going to meet you at Mansion House because there the 2 places meet. So I could even be more specific with my grid references, okay? So this is a 4-grid reference because you can see that there are 4 digits, and this is a 6-grid reference, and the only difference between a 4-grid reference and a 6-grid reference is this number at the end. And that all it's saying is I've taken my block and I've divided it into 10 parts, and roughly where would 2 be, okay? And roughly where would 4 be? And that's where I would meet you, okay? So you can still see there's the 65, there is the 22, and then these numbers here represent each block broken up even further. So as we said, this is the 4-grid reference, okay? I'm looking at the block that I've shaded is 3243. Here it is, 3243, and where the 2 of them meet is the block that I would shade, okay? And as I said, we can make it even more accurate by dividing this up into 6-grid reference. So I could still say 3243, but if I wanted to make it really, really specific, and let's say I wanted something that was sort of in the middle, so halfway. So it's halfway from here. So what would half of 10 be? 5. So I'd be 32, 5. And if I was halfway over here, then I would be 5 as well. And I would write 5 there. So 6-grid reference is actually very, very simple. Right, so let's have a go at this. Okay, now we're going to be using our knowledge of east and west and north and south. So I want to go and find the coordinates of 45 degrees north and 105 degrees west. So first of all, I'm going to be looking in the northern hemisphere. So here is the northern hemisphere. I'm going to write an N here, and then this is the southern hemisphere. Remember, the equator divides it into north and to south. And I'm going to be looking at 105 degrees west. Right, now if I'm going to be doing east and west, this would be my my west side, west, and this would be east. And the way I remember it, it spells we. Okay, make that a little bit neater. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to 45 degrees north. So I need to be in this block, this half of the world. And I'm going to go find north, which is over here, and I'm finding 45 degrees. Right, there it is. And I need to find 105 degrees west. So now I need to go and find something that is in this half of the world now. So I need to find this half, and then east and west is going to tell me which other half. So now I've got to go and find 105 degrees west, and where the 2 of them meet, that is the place that I'm looking at. So what city have I found there? And hopefully you've said Chicago. There it is. Right, let's do the next one together. We now want to find the country that has the coordinates 30 degrees north. So again, I'm going to put my north, south, west, and east, because remember, the line, this equator divides it into the north and the south, and this line divides it into west and east. So I want to find 30 degrees south. So here I need to go to the south side. So I find the south, and I go to 30 degrees and 135 degrees east. So now I'm going to go east, and where do you think those two lines match up? Okay, and hopefully you would have said Australia, all right, because I want the country. How about now finding 45 degrees north and 0 degrees east? So again, if it's going to help you, north, south, west, east, okay? And now I want to find 45 degrees north. So 45 degrees north, I'm going to be looking over here because here's my north side, okay? And I'm going to find 0 degrees east. And where the two of those line up, and here's my east, and it's 0 degrees, and where the two line up will be in France, because I wanted the country, okay? If you said Paris, that's fine as well, all right? Because that would just be the city, but France, so well done, there it is, okay? So I've met them up. And now our last one, I think this is the last one, I want to find 35 degrees north. So this is my north here. I'm going to go find 35, which is kind of in the middle there. Can you see they don't give me 35 because there are obviously countries that go between these two lines. So 35 is in between 30 and 45 and 135 degrees east. So I'm going to go to the east side and I'm going to find 135. And where do the two of them meet? And what do we find there where those two lines come together? That's 135 and 35. And hopefully you said Japan. Okay, so hopefully that made some sense. If it didn't make some sense, go through it again. Remember, this line divides it into north and south, and this line divides it into west and east. You first just need to decide which coordinates you are looking at. So if you're looking at the north, you need to be in this half of the world. Okay, so if it's going to be easier, take your finger and point it to that part. So you want to be in the north. If you want it to be in the south, then you point to the south. Then it's going to say the east or the west. So if you're going to be in the east, you're going to be going to the right. If it is the west, you're going to be going to the left. So now you've got two activities for me to do, all right? The answers will be for some of them afterwards. And then there is a crack the code at the end as a bit of a fun challenge for you to do. So have a go at this and then see how you do. Now, if you're going to be doing the silver or the gold, then you can just fast forward to that section. And those of you who are going to be doing the bronze, you can follow with me now. So here you've got your map. Okay, you're going to have to be coming back to this map quite regularly. They have given you a number of different places on the map. And they have also, I've divided it up for you already. So I've put the north and I've put the south. And there are my lines, the 0 degree lines. Here's my equator line. And here is my Greenwich line, okay? So you are then going to look at the questions and then find it on the map. So we'll do the first one together. So it says, here are some coordinates of different countries, and we're going to go try and find these countries. Now, I've given you some answers below, okay? Not all of them are going to go in. So if you can try and see if you can match up which one of these countries. So if you find something that is not on this list below, then it definitely will not be an answer, okay? But not all of them will be an answer either. So first of all, we're going to find 15 degrees south, 45 degrees west. So we're going to go find 15 degrees south. So which hemisphere am I going to be looking in? I'm going to be looking in the south hemisphere. If I write it up here, 15 degrees south, and we said 45 degrees. Let me just make sure that I've got that one right. West, yes. Right, so I'm going to go into the south first. The south is at the bottom here. This is the southern hemisphere. And I have to go find the number 15. Here it is. And then I've got to go find 45 degrees west. So now, which block is western? Here is west, so it's going to be somewhere around here, and I need to find the 45 degree, which is over here, and where I match it up, what am I going to land on? I'm going to be landing on Brazil. So I'm going to, number 1 will be Brazil, the country. So you're going to go and find those for me and answer them down. I'm just going to rub this out so that you don't have all of this on your paper. Oh, and I rubbed out your E. Let me put your E back there for your east. Okay, and hopefully you can have a go at that. Right, when you're done, I will give you the answers after this. So have a go at this. Pause the video at any time. You'll need to rewind, go and look at the map, then do your answers. It might be easier just to write all these numbers down first on your piece of paper and then go back to the map and then find the answers. So let's see how well you did. Here are your answers. So hopefully you managed to find all those places and you're feeling quite confident with coordinates. You're now going to be looking at some grid references for me, okay? And now we're going to be looking at our different grids. So we're going to look for our 4 grid reference. So we always start with the bottom number first. So if we had to do, for example, the duck, we would say the duck would be 1, and then we would say it would be in block 4, okay? Now, because you are doing a 4 grid reference, it means that you're going to have 4 digits in your answer. So let's do the first one together. So I need to go and find the smiley face. Here is my smiley face, and I'm going to say, right, I always start with the bottom numbers first. So I'm going to be in box. Remember, we always read 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. So box 663 doesn't actually exist, okay? Even though the number is there, that would be the next column going up, okay? So I need to find smiley face. So smiley face is going to be in 57. So I'm going to write 57 first. And then I'm going to say 35. Okay, and then I put the second number. And remember again, this is box 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Box 36 does not exist. It's not there, even though the number is there. So see if you can have a go at those 4, and then we'll go through the answers together. Right, if you haven't finished, pause the video now and see if you can finish off those last 4, and then we'll go through the answers. Great, so let's do the heart. Right, the heart is going to be, we start with the bottom number first, 61, and then 34. The bolt of lightning is going to be 59, and it's going to be 33. And then we've got the flower, 61, and I look here, 31, and my star, 58, and 31. Right, so there are your answers. I've put them a bit neater for you at the bottom. I hope you did really well with that. And you enjoyed that. And that is all for you for today. If you'd like to go and do the challenge, fast forward to the end and see if you can crack the code for me. Right, if you're doing the silver star, then you're going to be doing this. You're going to also be needing to come back to this map quite frequently. So here is your activity. You are going to take these coordinates and find the country for these coordinates, okay? Now, what I suggest you do is you write down these coordinates on your piece of paper now, and then you go back to the map so that you're not constantly having to go back and forth in the video. So I would pause the video now, write down those coordinates, and then when you're ready, unpause, and then go back to the map. Right, so if we go back to the map here, we can do the first one together, all right? So the first one said 15 degrees south, 45 degrees west. And I'm just going to write it down here for you. 15 degrees south, 45 west. Okay, so first of all, I need to decide which hemisphere I'm in. Am I in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere? And you are in the southern hemisphere, so I'm going to be looking at the south here. and I need to find the number 15. So here it is, okay? I might even want to put my finger on it just to make sure. Then I'm going to be finding east or west. I need to go to the west part, and I need to find the number 45, and here it is here. And where my two lines meet, so 15 and 45, what place do I land on? It is Brazil. So my first answer is going to be Brazil, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So you're going to try and have a go at the rest now, and go back in the video to the page that you've got the map for you. And here are your answers. Hopefully you've done really well and you managed to get all those places. If you need to pause the video to mark it, please do. Right, this is your next activity. You're going to be looking at 4 grid references. And as I said before, one of your vocab words was the key. Now the key tells me what all these symbols mean, okay? They don't have any words, but I now can look at my key and it can tell me what those pictures mean, okay? So here is the bridge, this little part here. If I look at that symbol, I can say, right, that means the bridge. Or if I'm looking for, let's say, the hospital, all right, I can say, right, here's the hospital, it is the symbol H. And can you find the symbol H on the grid reference for me? Right, here it is over there, okay. And now what you're going to do is you're going to answer some questions for me. So it says, in which grid square would you find the following? A bridge, a hospital, and all of that. And what can be found in the following grid squares? So you're going to go and look at those. Now, just a reminder that we always start with the bottom number first, okay? So if I'm looking for the duck or the bird, this is the bottom number here that I start with. So I'm going to first write the number 1, because remember this is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. The number 1 in grid 1 and number 4. So we start with the bottom number first and then the side number. Now you're using 4 grid reference, so you've got to make sure that you're writing these numbers at the bottom. So let's do the first one together and then you can carry on. It says, which grid square would I find the following? A bridge. So I'm going to go use my key now and I'm going to find bridge. That is the symbol that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go onto my picture here and I found the bridge here. Now, which number do we start with first? Is it these numbers or is it the bottom numbers? Right, it is the bottom numbers. So I need to go down here and I always look to the number to the left, okay? Remember, it's going 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and actually 13, 14 is not actually on the page, it's off. So it is going to be in grid 11, and on this side here, what number would it be? And again, we're going counting 34, 35, 36, 37. So it's going to be 1137. And I would then write 1137. And I've got 4 numbers there for my 4 grid reference. So you can now do the rest. And this should hopefully be a bit easier as well now. You go and find the bottom number 11. And then on the side 39. And where the 2 of them match up, that is what you're going to write down for me using the key. Okay, so you're going to find a symbol and then use the key and write it down. So that is what your activity is for today, and then I will give you the answers afterwards. So pause the video, go back and forward, and then see if you can get all these answers. Good luck. Great, hopefully you've managed to answer those questions, and let's see the answers. Here we go. You can check your work and see if you've managed to get everything correct. And that is your activities for today. I hope you've had an enjoyable geography lesson. Those of you who really want to push yourself, there's a crack the code at the end. So if you want to fast forward the video to the end, there's the crack the code. See if you can get the answers for me. Right, gold challenge. Right, here is your map. You might want to divide it into the north and the south and the west and the east. So remember, we are using those lines, the 0-degree lines, to divide the different hemispheres and east and west, okay? And you are going to go and write your own grid references for me now using the coordinates, okay? So can you now look at Japan, all right? And now, what coordinates would you be using or references to put those numbers? Okay, so can you have a look and decide, is it going to be north or south first? And then roughly where would it be? And I've said, use the little points here for your coordinates, all right? So we're first going to decide, is it north or south? So let's do this one together, and then you can do the rest on your own. So we can look at Japan first. So first of all, I need to decide, is it in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere? I know it is going to be in the northern hemisphere. Excuse me. And then I'm going to look here, and I have to now think about where this point is and kind of say, right, it's probably about 35. So I'm going to say 35 degrees north. And then I now need to decide, is it in the west or the east part of the world? And here is my 0 degree line. So I know that this is going to be in the eastern part. So I'm going to put east. All right. And it is roughly, I could probably say like 140. Okay, remember, it's not going to be exact. All right. And there are lots of different variations between the bit here at the beginning of the block to the end of the block. So you've got to use your estimation skills as to where that point would be. Okay, so you're going to do those coordinates for me now using those grids. All right. And you would then, so I'm going to say it's not really a grid reference. I'm going to say write the coordinates. For those places, all right? And then just use the little point to find the coordinates. So you're going to decide if it's north or is it south, is it east or west, and then write in those answers. I've done Japan for you. See if you can do those 3 on your own, okay? Right, activity 2, right? Now you're going to be using your 6 grid reference. Now these are just some practice ones. All right, I'm not going to do all of them because I think we've done quite a few already, but let's have a look. So if I had to put the smiley face, I'm going to go find block 63, and we always start at the bottom here first, okay? So here is the whole block 63 actually, all right? And I have divided up already into the 10 parts. So this whole block is actually worth 63, and I'm going to go and find number 4, and I'm going to then write. And then I need to find 62, and again this whole block is 62, and I've divided it up into its 10 equal parts already, okay? And I need to go and find sort of halfway, which is the 5, all right? And where those two then meet, I would then draw my smiley face. Okay, so let's have a look. You're going to be using this map today, all right? Here are the numbers that you're going to be using for the bottom, which we always write first, and then the numbers at the top, which go second. So you're going to have to come back to this quite frequently, so just be prepared to be rewinding the video. So remember, we always start with the bottom number and then the side number. You're going to start with 4 grid references first, so you're just going to find the blocks. And then afterwards, when you're using your 6 grid references, you're then going to be taking those blocks and dividing them up into 10s, okay? So what that is saying is, if I had to say, for example, I'm going to use this little symbol here, okay? And if I don't know what that means, I go and look at the key, and it says it's a place of worship, all right? And so I'm going to say, right, what is the 4 grid reference of that? I always start with the bottom number, and remember, this is counting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and actually 12 is not even on this grid. It's actually going off. So this is in block 09. So my 4 grid reference would be 09. And my, over here, I'd be counting 38, 39. So this is in block 39. And that would be my 4 grid reference, okay? If I wanted to make that a 6 grid reference, I would then be saying, right, I'm going to take this 9 and I'm going to divide it up into estimating roughly 10. Okay, I'm saying divide it into 10 equal parts, and I'm saying, right, this will probably be about 9. Okay, and this here would probably be, it's a little bit more than halfway, so I'd probably say maybe 6. And then, because I've now taken that and I've divided it up, and halfway is nice and easy because I just know that that's 5, and this is just a little bit more than halfway, so I'd probably say it's 6. Okay, remember it's a pretty close estimation. So I'm going to say that this would be 099, and this would be blocks 39, 6. And there you can see my black numbers are the 4 grid reference, and my purple numbers with the black number is my 6 grid reference, because there's 6 numbers. So see if you can have a go at answering those questions. As I say, you're probably going to have to go back and forwards quite a bit and rewind to go and look at the map. So have fun. I hope you enjoy it, and let's see at the end how you do. Right, here are the answers for those questions to see how you did. With the 6 grid references, what I would say is if you're like 1 number off, I would give it to you. Okay, so let's say you wrote 06, let's say 5 or 7, I will give it to you because it's kind of like a bit of an estimation. So if you had 1 on either side, that's fine. Okay. And then if you are done, I would love you to go and try the challenge. So here's your challenge, which is to crack the code. All right. So here, all the numbers that have been circled, you're going to be writing them down, and then you need to unscramble the letters, all right, at the bottom to crack the code. So here we go, is the map. You will see there are your numbers at the bottom, and here are the numbers at the side. And then if you go back, you can find 12, 25. What do you find at 12 and 25? And if you go at the bottom here, here is 12. Here is 25. What do you find in the middle there? It is, the answer is works. So then you would put W, O, R, K, S. And now the letter that has been circled is an O. So you're going to go and write the O here. And once you have all the letters, see if you can unscramble them to find another location on the map and see if you can then write its coordinates. So have a go at that. You're going to also have to be going backwards and forwards. See how you do, and then I will give you the answer at the end. So good luck. Right, here are the answers. So hopefully you found that the word was hospital. So once you had found all those letters that were circled, and then if you unscramble them, it is hospital. And if you found it on the map, the coordinates was 1123. So I hope you had enjoyed your geography lesson today. I know it was quite a bit, but I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. And I will see you back here